Hi, welcome to NarcShield. My name is Jennifer and I am a recovering codependent, and I am here to talk to you about the dynamic in a narcissistic relationship. I have plenty of experience, unfortunately, but the good thing is that I am a survivor and I am here to help support you get through to the other side. And I know that you can do it, and it's important for you, if you are going through a narcissistic abusive relationship, to surround yourself with people that understand you, because that way you will feel supported. Otherwise, you can be, unfortunately, re-victimized, and those people may not mean to do that, but it's because they don't understand. And so unless someone's been through it, it's hard for them to get it. But that's why we're here to bring awareness. So I wanted to share a story with you. And so this is one that I had actually shared this story on my podcast station, but I thought it was worthy of sharing it here on this site. So here I am. And so it is a story from a relationship that I was in, and it's about a fish. So it's kind of about everybody in this story. But anyway, so I want to share this story with you. So I was dating this guy, and he used to live close to me, and he was moving. And when I first started dating him, he had a fish tank that had 3 fish in it. And I was super excited because I had never really had a fish tank before that I can remember anyway. But I've always, I like all kinds of animals, fish. I think the only thing that I would be grossed out by is like, spiders and a snake or something. But anyway, he had these fish, and he was telling me that, he'd had them for a really long time. I want to say it was like 6 years or something. And that, he fed them, but he would sometimes forget and that kind of thing. So I felt like I needed to take care of these fish, and because I was definitely codependent then, but I'm a recovering codependent, and codependents are fixers, we're pleasers. We try to take care of everything, and we take everything on, and we tend to take care of everybody but ourselves. And so I decided to take on the fish. And so every morning that I was over there, I would feed the fish, and at night when I would come in, I would feed the fish. And it just became my thing. And every time I did, I was always, in the mornings and in every day, I looked to see if all 3 fish were still there. And I dated this guy for a really long time. So the fish continued to live for a really long time. I was really surprised how long these fish, because they weren't like, big fish. They were little bitty fish, and they lived for years. And so anyway, he had decided to move, and when we were packing everything up to get him moved into his new place, it was time to talk about this fish tank. And he asked me if I wanted the fish tank because I had been taking care of the fish for so long. And I was like, I just don't think I would take care of the tank well. And so I didn't think I should take that responsibility, and I didn't know where I would put the tank and everything. So I was like, what do you mean? Why don't you want to take the fish with you? And he was like, I just don't want the fish. And I guess it worked for him because, he had a place for them, and they had just been there for so long, and it was just easier to upkeep it. He said that you didn't have to change the water that much, but whatever. So anyway, I was like, well, let me see if anybody else wants the fish tank. So I searched high and low, hoping somebody would take all the stuff that went with the fish in the fish tank, and nobody was wanting to take these fish on in the fish tank and everything. So I was kind of bummed and sad about it, and it was really bothering me, and I was going back and forth. Well, should I take the fish tank? Where would I put them? I have a cat, and it's this whole thing. And then finally he was like, I could probably take them to, the pet store and take them to the fish department, and they could just take the fish. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is like the best idea ever. And my cat's out on the back porch, that's why I keep looking. So anyway, I was so happy because I thought that was like the perfect place for them to go, because I thought they'll be taken really good care of there. And nobody would forget to feed them and that kind of thing. So he was like, I said, well, do you want me to take them to the, the pet store? And he says, oh, no, I can do it. Don't worry about it. And I said, are you sure? You promise me that you'll take the fish to the pet store. You swear you're not going to just flush them down the toilet. And he was like, I promise you, I will take them. And I said, well, how are you going to do it? And so he told me how he was going to do it. And because this was the last thing that needed to be done before, basically handing the keys over to the next person coming in. So I went to work the next day, and I had a really long day, and he was supposed to take care of the fish tank and everything. So that night when I came in, I went over to his place and ran up. He was in his bedroom. Actually, he was already in bed, and I was blabbering on, because that's what I do, blah, 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 blah. I was talking away, and how was your day and all of that. And then he was kind of sitting up looking at me, and I was kind of more like that, talking to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, tell me about the fish. Did you take the fish to the fish store or the pet store? Oh my gosh, I was so excited about the fish. Tell me how it went. Did they take the fish? And I was just like this, and he was like, and I was like, you did take the fish, didn't you? And he was like, and I was like, what? What? And he was like, I just flushed him down the toilet. I was speechless. I started crying. I was boo-hooing that he threw the fish down the toilet and flushed the tank. It still brings tears to my eyes. It hurt me so bad that he would do that. I trusted him. And so I said to him, how could you do that? I trusted you. You said that you would take the fish, and if you weren't going to take the fish, I would have done it. How could you flush them down the toilet? And he says, they're just fish. And I was like, but they were living. They weren't just fish to me. And I cried, and I cried, and I went and I got on the couch, and I was going to sleep on the couch that night, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried over these fish. And sometime in the night, I finally got up and went to get in the bed, and the next morning he said, are we okay? And I was like, yeah. But inside, I knew I couldn't trust him. He knew it was important to me that he take these fish, and he knew that I would have done it. So we were already going through some stuff in our relationship, and I will get into some of that probably on this channel. But he was in therapy, and so he decided to take this story to his therapist. And this is what he told me about the story anyway. So he was sharing his experience because of what was going on with him and why he was in therapy. So he says to the therapist, he's like, she's crazy. Like, what? There's something wrong with her. And she's just crazy. And the therapist is like, I can't believe he told me this story. And the therapist was like, well, what happened? And so he told the story about the fish and went through the whole thing that I just went through with you. And she's crazy. She just cried and cried and cried and went all drama on me. And it was ridiculous. It was just fish. And the therapist said, but they weren't to her. They were important to her. And he says, I don't get it. They were fish. And the therapist said, well, you weren't invested in the fish. But she was. She fed the fish every morning. She fed them every night. And she checked on them every morning and every night, every day to make sure that those 3 fish were still living. And then she asked you to do something to still keep them alive, and would have done it on her own because she was invested. She loved the fish. And he said, and because you weren't invested and you didn't do anything for the fish, it didn't matter to you. They were just fish. We invest so much into the narcissist. We give so much love. We buy them things. We take care of them. We take on all their problems. We do everything we possibly can to make the narcissist happy, and it's never, ever, ever good enough. But we keep trying because we believe in hope. We believe that we are the people that will be able to help them because we are those people who want to fix. And we will exhaust ourselves taking care of them instead of taking care of ourselves. And it's hard for us to let go, not only because of the trauma bond, but because we're so invested. Sometimes it's been years that we've put into a relationship like this. Sometimes it's money. It's so many different things. And it's hard to let something go like that. But here's the thing. It isn't hard for them to let you go because they were never truly invested. They don't look at us as something living and, that has feelings. They look at us as an appliance. It's just something, and you know what? When it works and it works for them, hey, that's great. But when we become faulty or it's not working anymore and they want a new item and they are bored easily, they do bore so easily and they need contrast, they will go and they will replace this appliance, is how they see it, or see you, me, with a new appliance. Or they go and they spend their money on a lot of things. They just need, they're always trying to fill a void that's inside of them. It feels empty. My ex once told me that he felt lonely even when he was with me, even when he was in a room full of people. And he didn't understand. He didn't understand that hole inside of him. I didn't either. And I wanted to help him, but I did not understand. I tried, and there were lots of things that I could give him advice on. But eventually, some of these things got so big, and my best thing to say was maybe you need to go and talk to someone about it. I wish that I could have filled that hole inside of him and let him feel joy and love and happiness. I wanted him to feel all of those things. And later, when our relationship ended, I prayed to God every single night that God would take part of my heart and just give it to him, because I wanted so much for him to feel love and joy and happiness and all the good things that people feel. And I knew that he did not feel those things. Sorry, I'm getting all teary. I prayed for everyone who had this disorder and didn't feel those things, or other disorders such as, being a sociopath or anti-personality disorder, social personality disorder, and so on. I just couldn't imagine not being able to truly feel love, not being able to feel joy, happiness, and things, all the good, wonderful feelings that we have. And to know that he and others only feel the bad things. And because I'm so full of empathy, I could feel compassion, even though he hurt me. And we can feel compassion for these people, but it doesn't mean we have to stay being abused. You do not need to stay with someone or be around anyone who is abusing you, ever. You can love them from afar. You can pray for them. You can wish them all the happiness in the world. But you need to take care of you. And so I healed, and it took time, and it was very difficult. It was so hard for me to get through that trauma bond. Oh my goodness. The hardest thing I've ever been through in my entire life, and I still get triggered, you know, because PTSD is real. We do have that, and we can be triggered, but even still, I still have that empathy. That's not going to change. It's who I am. And I embrace that part of me. I can still care for people that need help, but I'm not going to allow them to abuse me anymore. And I did love the fish. They were alive. And it just meant nothing to him to kill them. He just didn't get it. So his perspective on things and mine were completely opposite. And that's how it is with the narcissist. And it's very frustrating. Until next time, this is Jennifer. Thanks for listening to my fish story. Bye.